I never had a great relationship with my mother Abigail, 42F. She never wanted me, 18F, in the first place and thought of me as a mistake. Growing up, I often heard her tell her friends how she wished she had never gotten pregnant with me. She said having me ruined her career as a realtor and tied her down to a marriage she never wanted. My dad Robert, 45M, died of a sudden stroke last year. 2 months after his death, my mother married Henry, 44M, who was my dad's friend and a divorcee with a daughter Sonia, 16F. From my earliest memories, I noticed how differently my mother treated me compared to other children. When my cousins visited, she showered them with hugs, kisses, and compliments. But with me, all she had were harsh words and criticism. If I got an A in school, she'd ask why it wasn't an A+. If I won second place in a competition, she'd say I should have tried harder for first. My mother controlled everything about my appearance and interests. When I was 8, I wanted to join ballet classes like my friends, but she forced me to do karate instead, saying ballet was too girly and weak. She never let me grow my hair long, always keeping it in a short boyish cut that I hated. My wardrobe consisted of baggy jeans and t-shirts because she refused to buy me dresses or skirts. When I cried about it, she told me to stop being so feminine and dramatic. The only person who made my childhood bearable was my dad. He was a college professor who taught literature and always brought me books to read. Every weekend, we had our special father-daughter time. Sometimes we went fishing at the local lake, other times we watched baseball games and shared hot dogs. He taught me how to throw a perfect pitch and always cheered the loudest at my karate tournaments, even though he knew I secretly hated them. My dad always stood up for me against my mother. When she threw away my pink backpack because it was too girly, he bought me a new one. When she refused to let me join the school drama club because it was waste of time, he convinced her that it would look good on college applications. He wasn't perfect, sometimes I wished he'd stand up to her more strongly, but he tried his best to protect me from her harsh treatment. Everything in my life changed when my dad died last year. He was teaching his favorite Shakespeare class when he had a massive stroke. By the time the ambulance reached him, it was too late. I was devastated. He was not just my father but my best friend, my protector, and the only person who truly loved me. My mother's reaction to his death shocked me even more than the loss itself. She didn't shed a single tear at his funeral. While I sobbed uncontrollably, she stood there checking her phone and telling people not to cry because it would ruin their makeup. She started cleaning out his closet the very next day, donating his clothes and books without asking if I wanted to keep anything. Just 2 months after we buried my dad, my mother announced she was marrying Henry. He had been my dad's friend since college and often visited us. He was a successful architect who had divorced his wife years ago when she abandoned him and their 2-year-old daughter Sonia. I always liked Henry. He was kind and funny, and sometimes brought me and Sonia little gifts when he visited. From the moment Henry and Sonia moved in, my mother transformed into a completely different person, at least towards Sonia. She became the perfect stepmother, helping Sonia with homework, taking her shopping, and constantly praising her achievements. She posted photos of them together on social media with captions like "Finally got the daughter I always wanted and so blessed to have this angel in my life." The contrast between how she treated me versus Sonia was painful to watch. If Sonia mentioned liking a dress, my mother would buy it immediately. But when I needed new shoes because mine had holes, she told me to wait until next month. During dinner, Sonia got to choose the menu while I had to eat whatever was served. If Sonia wanted seconds, my mother happily served her. But if I reached for more food, she'd comment about my weight, even though I was on the school swimming team and perfectly healthy. My mother started excluding me from family activities. Every weekend, she planned trips with Henry and Sonia, shopping malls, amusement parks, movies, but never invited me. When I asked why I couldn't come, she said I was too old for family outings and should focus on studying instead. She even converted my study room into an art studio for Sonia without asking me, forcing me to do my homework on my bed or at the dining table. Things got worse when my mother began poisoning Henry against me. She twisted everything I did to make me look bad. If I spent time in my room studying, she told him I was being antisocial and refusing to bond with my new family. If I went out with friends from the swim team, she claimed I was being rebellious and staying out late, even though I always returned by curfew. When I got a part-time job at the local library, she told Henry I was trying to avoid family time. But Henry wasn't easily fooled. He often defended me and questioned my mother's accusations. This only made her more determined to get rid of me. Last month, she suggested selling our house and moving to a new one to make fresh memories as a family. What she didn't mention to Henry was that the house belonged to my dad and he had left it to me in his will, though I couldn't inherit it until I turned 21. Henry refused to move, saying changing schools would disrupt both mine and Sonia's education. My mother was furious but couldn't show it. Instead, she became extra sweet to me when Henry was around but treated me horribly when he wasn't looking. She threw away all my dad's photos, claiming they got damaged during cleaning. She gave away my childhood toys to charity without asking me. She even started locking the kitchen at night, telling Henry the First was stealing food when really I sometimes studied late and got hungry. I tried talking to Henry about how my mother treated me, but she always managed to interrupt or change the topic. She started monitoring my phone calls and reading my texts. The only reason I could still buy lunch at school was because Henry gave me his credit card after noticing my mother stopped making lunch for me. Now my 18th birthday is next week and Henry wants to throw a party for me. He's planning to invite my friends from school and the swim team, plus some family members. My mother tried to cancel it, claiming it would make Sonia feel bad since she didn't have a big celebration for her 16th birthday. But Henry insisted that turning 18 was special and deserved celebration. I should be excited about my party, but I'm scared. The look in my mother's eyes when Henry overruled her objections sent chills down my spine. She's planning something, I can feel it. I just don't know what. Update 1: I'm writing this from my hospital bed with tubes attached to my arms and monitors beeping around me. My mother tried to kill me at my birthday party. I still can't believe I'm typing these words, but there's no other way to describe what happened. My 18th birthday party started perfectly. Henry had transformed our backyard into a beautiful celebration space. There were fairy lights strung across the trees, colorful balloons everywhere, and a huge banner saying Happy 18th Birthday. He hired professional caterers, ordered my favorite cake, chocolate with strawberry filling, and it even got a DJ to play music. My mother pretended to be excited about everything. She helped with decorations, welcomed guests with a big smile, and kept telling everyone how happy she was to celebrate her baby girl turning 18. Looking back, I should have known something was wrong. She never called me her baby girl before. The party was going great. My friends from the swim team came, along with my cousins and some of Henry's family. Even my old neighbors showed up with gifts. Everyone was dancing, eating, and having fun. Henry looked proud as he showed guests around, and Sonia was actually being nice to me, helping me open presents. Around dinner time, the caterers started serving food. They had set up different stations, one for pasta, one for grilled meats, and one for salads. Everyone was getting up to fill their plates when my mother approached me. She was holding a plate of pasta with creamy sauce and said she had specially requested the caterers to make it for me. I was surprised because my mother never served me food. In fact, she usually complained if I asked her to pass anything during meals. But that night she was acting different, smiling warmly and insisting she wanted to make my birthday special. I thought maybe she was finally trying to change. I took a bite of the pasta. It tasted different, but I couldn't figure out why. By the second bite, I felt my throat starting to close up. My lips began tingling and swelling. I tried to speak but couldn't get words out. The last thing I remember before collapsing was my mother standing there, watching me with a strange expression. I'm severely allergic to shellfish, something my mother knows very well. When I was 5, I had a severe reaction to shrimp and nearly died. Since then, I've always carried an EpiPen and been extremely careful about what I eat. My mother was always in charge of informing school cafeterias, restaurants, and friends' parents about my allergy. Henry acted quickly when he saw me collapse. He searched my purse for my EpiPen but couldn't find it. Someone called an ambulance while Henry tried to keep me conscious. The paramedics arrived within minutes and rushed me to the hospital. The doctors later said if I hadn't received medical attention so quickly, I could have died. While I was unconscious, the hospital ran tests and found high levels of shellfish protein in my system. They also discovered that the pasta sauce had been deliberately mixed with shrimp paste. It wasn't a case of accidental contamination. The amount of shrimp paste used was substantial, way more than what would be used for flavoring. After regaining consciousness, I remembered something important. We have security cameras in our kitchen because Henry likes to monitor who comes and goes when he's not home. I asked my friend Emma to check the footage from that day. What she found confirmed my worst fears. The video shows my mother entering the kitchen while the caterers were setting up in the backyard. She takes out a jar from her purse, which Emma zoomed in and identified as shrimp paste, and mixes it thoroughly into a portion of pasta sauce. She then finds my purse hanging on the kitchen door, takes out my EpiPen, and throws it in the trash. The timestamp shows this happened just 30 minutes before she brought me the plate. I haven't told Henry about the video yet. The doctors want to keep me under observation for another day, and I'm planning to show him the footage after I'm discharged. The police have already visited because the hospital reported suspected food tampering, but I told them I needed time to process everything before making a statement. The worst part isn't that my mother tried to kill me. The worst part is remembering how she stood there watching as I struggled to breathe, doing nothing to help. She didn't call for help or try to find my EpiPen. She just watched, probably hoping I would die before anyone could save me. My friend Emma has been staying with me at the hospital because I'm too scared to be alone. She says lots of people from the party have been calling and texting to check on me. Henry visits twice daily, bringing me clean clothes and food from home. He keeps apologizing, saying he should have noticed something was wrong sooner. Sonia came once and seemed genuinely upset about what happened. The doctors say I can go home tomorrow, but I don't know if I can live in that house knowing my mother tried to murder me there. I keep thinking about all the times she mistreated me over the years, wondering if she was always planning to get rid of me or if this was a sudden decision. Either way, I know I need to show Henry the video. He deserves to know the truth about the woman he married. Update 2 yesterday, I finally gathered the courage to show Henry the security footage. I asked him to come to my room after my mother left for her yoga class. When he saw the video of her deliberately mixing shrimp paste into my food and throwing away my EpiPen, he went completely pale. His hands started shaking and he watched the footage 3 times, as if trying to find some other explanation for what he was seeing. At first, he didn't say anything. He just sat there, staring at the screen with his shocked expression. Then he started asking questions. Had she done things like this before? Why didn't I tell him sooner? How long had I known about the video? I explained everything, how my mother had always treated me badly, how she changed after marrying him, and how she became obsessed with creating a perfect family with just him and Sonia. Henry immediately called the police. They arrived within minutes and took copies of the security footage. While they were reviewing the evidence, my mother came home early from yoga. She walked into a house full of police officers and froze. When Henry confronted her about the video, she tried to lie, claiming I had asked for the pasta specifically. But the footage clearly showed her planning everything. The police arrested her right there in our living room. As they were handcuffing her, she started screaming that everything was my fault. She said I was the reason her life was ruined, that I had trapped her in a marriage with my dad, and that I was now trying to ruin her second chance at happiness. She even blamed my dad, saying he had forced her to keep me when she wanted an abortion. During questioning at the police station, my mother finally broke down and confessed everything. She admitted she never loved my dad and only married him because she got pregnant with me. She said she had been planning to leave him just before he died. She also revealed that she married Henry so quickly after Dad's death because she knew he was wealthy and she wanted to secure her future. The police found disturbing text messages on her phone. She had been discussing her plan to kill me with someone for weeks. The messages talked about how to make it look like an accident and mentioned my shellfish allergies specifically. The police are still investigating who she was texting with, but they think it might be someone from her yoga class. Henry was devastated by all these revelations. He kept apologizing to me, saying he should have seen the signs earlier. He immediately filed for divorce and got a temporary restraining order against my mother. He also contacted his lawyer to start adoption proceedings, saying he wants to legally become my father if I'm willing. The police investigation uncovered more shocking details. After my dad died, my mother had somehow gained access to his accounts and transferred large sums of money to a secret account in her name. She had also been trying to find ways to sell our house before I turned 21, even though it was left to me in Dad's will. Sonia is struggling to process everything. She came to my room last night crying, saying she felt guilty for not speaking up sooner about how badly my mother treated me. I told her none of this was her fault. She was just a kid who got caught in the middle of my mother's twisted plans. The district attorney is pressing attempted murder charges against my mother. They say with the video evidence and her confession, she's likely to serve significant time in prison. They're also investigating the financial fraud she committed after my dad's death. The hardest part of all this is realizing that my mother hated me so much she was willing to kill me. I keep wondering if there was something I could have done differently, some way I could have made her love me. But Henry says I need to stop blaming myself. He says some people are just toxic and incapable of love. For now, my mother is in jail awaiting trial. Her bond has been denied because the police consider her a flight risk. They found evidence that she had been researching countries without extradition treaties. I don't know what's going to happen next, but at least I know I'm safe now. Henry and Sonia have been amazingly supportive, and for the first time in my life, I feel like I might actually have a real family. Update 3: My mother is still in jail awaiting trial. The police investigation revealed even more disturbing details about her plans. They found a notebook hidden in her yoga bag where she had written down different ways to poison someone and make it look like an accident. She had researched various methods online and even made notes about which ones would be harder to detect in an autopsy. The person she was texting turned out to be her yoga instructor, Mark. He confessed that she had been plotting my murder for months. She told him she needed to get rid of me to secure her future with Henry. Mark saved all their conversations and gave them to the police in exchange for a lighter sentence. The messages showed she had considered several methods before settling on triggering my shellfish allergy. The financial investigation into my mother uncovered years of theft and fraud. After my dad died, she forged documents to access his retirement accounts and investment portfolios. She transferred nearly $200,000 to offshore accounts under fake names. The police also found that she had been stealing money from Henry's architecture firm where she worked as an office manager. Henry officially adopted me last week. He sold his architecture firm and we moved to a different state to start fresh. He said he couldn't continue working in the same office where my mother had betrayed his trust. We found a beautiful house near a good school, and he's planning to open his own small architecture practice. Sonia and I are now attending the same high school and have become really close. She told me she always noticed how differently my mother treated me but was scared to say anything. She thought if she spoke up, my mother might start treating her badly too. I understand her fear. She had finally found a mother figure after her own mom abandoned her. The prosecutors say my mother will likely get 15 to 20 years in prison for attempted murder, plus additional time for financial fraud. Her lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal, but the district attorney refused because of the premeditated nature of her crime. They want to make an example of her case. My mother still tries to contact me from jail. She sends letters claiming she's sorry and that she wasn't thinking clearly. Last week she sent a 10-page letter explaining how my dad ruined her life by getting her pregnant and how I reminded her of all her lost opportunities. I stopped reading her letters after that. Sometimes at night, I lie awake wondering how a mother could hate her child so much that she would try to kill them. But then I look at my new family, Henry who legally became my dad, and Sonia who's now officially my sister, and realize that real family isn't about blood. It's about people who love and protect you no matter what. Henry enrolled me in dance classes, something my mother never allowed. Sonia joins me sometimes, and we're planning to perform in a recital together. I'm finally growing my hair out and wearing clothes I actually like. For the first time in my life, I feel free to be myself. I know the trial will be difficult when it starts next month. I'll have to testify and face my mother again. But I'm not afraid anymore. I have my real family supporting me now, and that's all I need. Sometimes the worst things in life lead you to the best people, and I'm grateful that despite everything my mother did, I ended up finding people who truly love me.